morning and welcome to everyone. It is 11:09 on the 8th day of August in the year 2025, and the Martin Luther King Jr. Commission for the State of New Mexico will come to order. Secretary Carroll, if you have a copy of the roll, if you would please call. Otherwise, I have a copy and I can call if you don't have it in front of you.
Thanks, Chair. I actually do have a copy of the roll, so I could start it off. Commissioner Joseph Dabney.
Present.
Okay. Commissioner Judge Lambert. Commissioner Hazel Mella. State Treasurer Laura Montoya, or her designee, Commissioner Anyana.
Anaya present.
Anaya, sorry. PRC Commissioner Gabriel Aguilera.
I am present, so is designee yourself.
Yeah, that's a double present right there. The Secretary of State, Maggie Toulouse Oliver, or her designee, Commissioner Sharon Pino. Commissioner Oscar Robertson.
Present.
President. Okay, Commissioner Brandy Stone. Commissioner Carolyn Traub.
Present.
Vice Chair Williams, Constance Williams. Commissioner Anthony Yumi.
Present.
And Chair Little West.
Present.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so for number attendees of 8, we have met quorum.
All right, with a quorum present, we can proceed with transactional business. Thank you, Secretary Carroll. And to the next item of our agenda, approval of the agenda. Is there any motion related to agenda approval?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Anaya. Is there a second?
Commissioner Robinson, second.
By Commissioner Robinson, 2 seconds. And so it's moving second to approve the agenda for today. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Secretary Carroll to call the roll.
Commissioner Dabney.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner State Treasury designee Anyaya. I'm sorry, I'm mispronouncing your name again. Anyaya is that how you say it?
It is how you say it. Thank you. And yes.
Okay, that's a yes. Okay, so since we still have the chair of the PRC, we can have him to vote, or I could vote. Chair Aguilera, Commissioner Aguilera.
I'll defer to you,
Okay.
Secretary Carroll, as I was not at the meeting, and for the future votes as well.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. So yes, that's yes from me. Secretary of State designee, Commissioner Sharon Pino. Oh, yes, she's not here. Commissioner Robinson.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Traub.
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Yumi.
Umi, yes. Present.
Yes. And
Yes,
Chair
or no?
West.
First, yes. Or
Oh,
no?
approved.
Approve. Yes,
Thank
approve.
you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And
I
Chair
vote
West.
yes. I'll vote
Okay,
yes.
3,
And-
4, 5, 6. I'm sorry, Chair, continue.
Oh, I'm just gonna say, maybe we should just check to see if there's any commissioner that joined who we didn't call on the list of those as being present. In other words, I don't mind calling, for example, Judge Lambert, even though she didn't make the roll call, she might later join. So we can include her in the roll call on the votes just in case, or Dr. Melia. And I think we are expecting her to join. She is running late. So for example, we might call those names just in case they're able to join but have joined late.
Okay, thanks, Chair. So I'll do that right now. Just for anyone who might have joined in after, Commissioner Hazel Mala. Here. Commissioner Stone. Vice Chair Williams. And yep, that is it.
And just as we said that, Dr. Melia walked in, and so in case Dr. Melia would like to vote regarding approval of the agenda, Doctor, the vote is still happening. So would you like to vote on approval of the agenda?
Yes, please.
Okay, and how would you like to vote?
Yes.
All right, so Dr. Melia will vote yes on approval of the agenda.
Okay, Dr. Mela, yes. Okay, so how many votes is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 9 votes in favor of the agenda as it stands.
All right, and with that, I think we can close the vote. So the motion carries with 9 in favor and 9 opposed. We'll move on to the next item of our agenda, is approval of the minutes from the meeting from June 25th, 2025. Is there any motion related to approval of those minutes?
Motion to approve.
Dr. Megan moves to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And Commissioner Umi seconds. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Secretary Carroll to call the roll.
Okay, Commissioner Dabney,
Abstain as I was absent.
okay. Judge Lambert, Commissioner Mela,
Yes.
Secretary Designee Commissioner Anaya.
Yes.
Okay, so Commissioner Designee, aka me, Secretary Carroll for the PRC, yes. Secretary of State Designee Commissioner Pino. Commissioner Oscar Robinson,
Yes.
Commissioner Stone, Commissioner Traub,
I'm sorry, yes.
okay, yes. Thank you. Commissioner Williams, Commissioner Umi,
Yes.
yes. And Chair West.
Yes.
So 7 yes, 1 abstention. The minutes are approved.
Okay, and I'm not sure if I heard Commissioner Rutini called as part of the roll call, so let's just, he's not here, but we'll
Oh,
make
okay,
sure we
yes,
call.
Commissioner Rutini, okay.
So we'll make sure we call him going forward, but it just, for the record, he's not here, so we do have a motion that carried on approval of the minutes. And we'll move on to the next item on our agenda, which is public comment. Is there anyone who would like to give public comment? I don't see anybody here in person. Is there anyone online?
No, Chair.
All right, seeing none and hearing none, we'll move on to the next item of our agenda. It's the Executive Director report and presentation. So Executive Director, you're recognized.
All right, thank you so much, and thank you all for being here today. Please bear with me, it is so small and my eyes do not work well. I think that's the present button. Yes, okay. Yep, I saw. All right. Happy Friday, everyone. Thank you all for being here. This is my August report. So update on orientation and onboarding status. I have completed 72 hours of training, primarily in how to administratively run the commission and be aligned with New Mexico statutes and policies of state government. Most recently, I've completed CPO training, so I am a chief procurement officer. I completed defensive driving training, and I just completed budget boot camp as well. Upcoming task and training, so I'm continuing to do inventory of commission's property, storage, and reorganizing the office. If you stop by after we meet today, you'll see that's very much what is happening in there. I have successfully coordinated with the King Center to get nonviolence training. That's an 18-hour course, and I'm actually hoping to extend the same opportunity to all of the commissioners. I'm awaiting participants from the New Mexico Department of Workforce Solutions. I had one referral. Unfortunately, she was not eligible due to the requirements of the wage subsidy program. And in terms of other training, I am super excited to be able to attend the National MLK Commission's Conference in Little Rock, Arkansas, hosted by the Arkansas MLK Commission. Next steps, I am continuing my Sundays of service. I most recently attended service at Macedonia Baptist Church, and I'll be continuing to visit other churches as the months progress. The Beloved Community Network is on its way. I did procure the software to get it started, so we're going to go with Constant Contact. And I actually have a meeting next week to discuss what that's going to look like. And then I have community members signed up to be receiving the newsletter. And the software that I selected also has text features as well as ads. So there'll be multiple communications coming from the commission. And then there you'll see the official flyer for the MLK Commission's Conference in Arkansas. We're hiring. Yay! We have 10, actually we have 11 because I just got an email. We have 11 applicants so far for the program manager position, which will close August 26th. Immediately after that, on the 27th, I will start sorting through applications. As far as the rubric, I took y'all's rubric that y'all used for me and applied the details of this position to that, and that's how I'll sort through. And then I'll convene a hiring committee. If you're interested on being on the hiring committee and have the time, I would greatly appreciate it. I'll have to coordinate several schedules to get that done, but the interviews will likely take place virtually. And a financial update. So I successfully closed out fiscal year 2025. And this is where we ended up. So you'll see that our remaining total was $27,390.97. The initial packet that you got had a different number, and that's because, well, yes, it had a different number. That's because I had an encumbrance that I couldn't figure out, but I worked with DFA to get that figured out, and that is the remaining total that we're at. And yeah, that's all. For fiscal year 26, I have a financial update as of yesterday. So you'll see here that we have some encumbered expenses that in the 300 category, that is for our audit. And then the 400 category, some of those encumbrances are for our printer, the quadient, some funding proposals, and I'll go over those more in detail because I have an encumbrance list in my next slide. But this is where we're at as of yesterday. So
Did it freeze? I think it froze on our end.
It's frozen on my end too.
Okay, so they'll probably we have to wait for them to get back on.
Line, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
And anyone online that you can hear us, Mr. Carroll?
Yep, loud and clear.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we might have lost, connection with you all for maybe about 30 seconds. So I've just asked the executive director to rewind 30 seconds in her presentation and repeat herself.
All right, I think we can start over from here because this is where I was getting at anyway. But what you see on the screen here are our current encumbrances for fiscal year 2026. You'll see an encumbered amount for our printer. The printer is billed on a monthly basis, but I create a purchase order for the full year to be able to pay it on time monthly. You'll see an encumbrance for my CPO course that I just recently got the invoice to and will be requesting the voucher for. The next encumbrance you'll see is the Quadient. It's billed on a quarterly basis. So the purchase order is set up to be able to make those payments on time. You'll see the encumbrance for Constant Contact. Again, that is the bill for the entire year. And they'll be billing us. I'm going to pay that bill all at once I get full access to, or I have full access to the software. So that will be paid. And then the next one is Paradise Travel. I'm not going on vacation, I promise. It's for the travel expenses to the conference in Little Rock, Arkansas. And then the last encumbrance is for the King Center's nonviolence training. And then our expenditures, so things that aren't encumbered, that have been vouchered, we have paid $1,200 for our statewide community meeting facilitators. You may question, the statewide community meeting happened last fiscal year. Why did we pay them this fiscal year? So they did the facilitating at the statewide community meeting on June 25th. However, they had to code and sort through the answers for the data, and they delivered that to me in the new fiscal year. So that is why we paid them through this fiscal year's budget. And then the next voucher is for the State Bar of New Mexico sponsorship. They brought Brian Stevenson, who is a known civil rights activist, civil rights attorney and activist, and we did a sponsorship to be promoted at their annual meeting. And then we have vouchered one payment for the printer. We did a sponsorship for Inspire Empower, their Black, White, and Red Masquerade Ball. Inspire Empower is an organization that works with incarcerated individuals and those returning to society from incarceration. They provide a number of resources to those individuals, classes, training, and I actually got to hear some testimonials from individuals who received those resources and was deeply impressed by their work and actually think there's an opportunity to collaborate to get some nonviolence training for their board or their instructors to reach their target population. And then the last one you'll see is a journal entry for our rent payment here at the African American Performing Arts Center, bringing to a total of $8,268.83 that has been paid out so far. Lease renewal. So the commission's lease at 310 San Pedro Drive, Northeast, Suite 210 expires on Halloween, October 31st, 2025. I've been advised that the lease renewal should remain viable for the next 5 years. I inquired about this because of state fairgrounds redevelopment that had been information that had been circulating. I was informed that the process could take 6 to 8 months before it's presented to the legislature, and that no major changes would come about for at least 3 to 5 years. Given the projected timeline, the current stability, I recommend renewing the lease, which is on your agenda later in the meeting. Auditor select. Well, we have 22 items provided per the PBC list. There are some items that just not able to locate, such as the capital assets list. I've tried to track it down. I've worked with our previous mobile CFO to try to track it down, worked with the previous auditor. I'm not sure if we'll ever get that list. I was told by the previous mobile CFO that it might be a server that's on the list, but that all things are fully depreciated. The PO is pending approval, and I will be working on that today, actually. And then the predecessor audit letter has been sent, and that gives permission for our current auditor to get information from the previous auditor. outstanding task, I need the signature from the General Service Department. I learned this morning, I need to just send them the draft PO for them to take a look at everything and approve or send it back to me, but hopefully an approval. And then I have 40 items due September 1st, 2025, which I'm confident that I can run through Share myself and put together and get those done by the 1st. Reversion status. So I'm going to meet with DFA prior to the 29th to review our fiscal year 2025 financials and the reversion, just to make sure I haven't missed anything and that all is correct. But the last day to submit the notification is on August 29th, and then the last day to submit the reversion is September 30th, 2025. I'm expecting a reversion total of $27,390.97. I am confident that that will be the reversion total. I don't foresee anything popping up, and it would be too late, I think. This is about $7,000 less than last year's reversion, which I have the number in front of me, but it seems to have gone away. But I can find it for you all later. Funding proposal. All right, so we did receive a funding proposal from Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, Omega Alpha Zeta chapter for a Meet the Candidates event. They are looking to host this here at the African American Performing Arts Center. One thing I wanted to clear up, no, we do not get to use the space that they're looking for free. Even though we operate in this building, we still have to pay rental fees for the classroom, the theater, things like that. They are looking to co-host with other Divine Nine organizations. If you're not familiar with the Divine Nine, they're the National Panhellenic Council or other nine historically African American fraternities and sororities. They are also looking to partner with the League of Women Voters, the NAACP Albuquerque branch, and the Office of African American Affairs. I emailed you all a disclosure on July 21st just to confirm that I am a member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, and I serve as the Omega Alpha Zeta chapter's historian and membership intake coordinator. I don't have a final interest in the transaction. I didn't participate in the preparation of this funding proposal. I won't participate in any official action with the chapter when they vote on this event, and I'm requesting not to participate in the decision to grant them this funding proposal, given why it's on your agenda today for you all to take action on. Next, our legislative budget requests. Again, I'm so sorry that you got my draft in the initial packet, but you should have my most recent recommendation. And the bottom line of it all is I would recommend that the commission ask for a 15% increase to sustain and uphold the strategic plan that hopefully you all vote on today. I think that in our strategic plan is a lot of expanding our resources across the state and growth of the commission, and that's going to require our finances to also grow. It's a 3-year plan. From analyzing the plan, our current budget, I think that a 15% increase will have us where we need to be as we execute the things for year 3 of our 3-year strategic plan. All right, this is my last slide, Civil Rights Teach-In and MLK Weekend. So initial planning for the Civil Rights Teach-In is underway and is scheduled to take place the week of October 13th or October 27th. The program will be centered around key components, including a current landscape of civil rights, a state-focused spotlight. So that meaning I would like attendees to know what our state is doing in terms of civil rights and where we stand, and interactive opportunities to explore relevant data. Attendees will also engage in a civic engagement corner, highlighting organizations they can get involved with or initiatives they can take part in, as well as participating in guided reflections to deepen understanding and commitment. I'm hoping that participants also leave with a sense of their collective impact. And then planning for Dream Weekend. So mark your calendars for January 16th through the 19th. 2026. That is Dream Weekend. I'm looking at past themes, key stakeholders, and previous programming just to review what has been done and to shape a meaningful and inclusive commemoration that'll take place here in Albuquerque. A call for community participation in the Albuquerque planning process will be released in early September. And I am currently compiling a list of who was previously supported for their commemorations across the state and will be making calls to expand to counties that weren't reached previously. And with that, I will take your question.
All right, thank you, Executive Director. Any questions?
Just a comment.
Dr. Melia.
Very thorough.
Thank you.
And Commissioner Naya.
Thank you, Chairman. I do have a question about your expenditure slide.
Yes.
The $1,200 that was paid out for fiscal year 25 with your fiscal year 26 budget.
Right.
Was that amount encumbered in your fiscal year 25 purchase orders?
It was not. We had to do a direct pay because I had a gap in my understanding of when I could encumber it.
And they didn't allow you to accrue any of your reversion budget to apply towards that?
Because the invoices were dated in July, I was under the impression that I couldn't.
Thank you, Chairman and Executive Director. The other question I have is on your fiscal year 27 projected increases.
Mhm.
In your 200 category, how many current FTEs are approved for? Two?
Mhm.
So this increase of 15% is that going to support any additional FTEs you might be requesting, or is it just for the 2 FTEs you currently have?
It is not going to support an additional FTE. It would have to be significantly increased to support an additional position. This is to support being able to offer our full-time employees an opportunity to get increases in their salaries.
How does the revisions affect our present budget?
I believe that when we go to legislators to ask for an increase, we're going to need to explain why there has been a reversion, which in this year's case, I could probably write them a nice 5-page paper on why there's a reversion for fiscal year 2025. And then I believe for the previous year, it's because the Youth Leadership Conference did not take place, but essentially we're just going to have to explain. That's my understanding.
All right, any other questions, comments on the Executive Director's presentation?
Do we have a copy of your slides, or is that
You do. In fact,
it's in this?
You have a more detailed version of my slides.
Against?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
all right, anybody online have any questions or comments?
Not on my end. That was a great presentation.
Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the action items. Okay, Executive Director.
I just want to be sure that, because I know that I need to send out a monthly financial report, and if there was anything that you would have liked to see that you did not see.
It's a good question, Commissioner. So speak now, forever hold your peace, because we're about to move into quarterly meetings, right? We've been meeting monthly for the past 6, 7, 8 months, 9 months almost. And so we're about to go, we're going to talk about this later with our meeting schedule, but we're about to go into meeting, 2 months, 3 months out. And so the executive director is going to have to send out written financial reports to you as commissioners to satisfy her obligation. If there's anything that you want to see as regards commission finances that you haven't seen, you can say so now, and we can take that in consideration when she sends out the financial reports.
I think the only thing that I didn't say out loud that I had on a slide was that we have one pending funding proposal, but my plan would be to send you all the funding proposals that we've honored that month.
Okay, that's a good idea. All right, okay. Well, I don't see that you're getting any feedback, so, except that Dr. Malia had pointed out that your presentation was very thorough. So I think if you send out, thorough financial information on a monthly basis to commissioners, that's good, and we appreciate it. Okay, we'll proceed to our action items. We have some old business. First, we have, a report from the Bylaws and Policies Procedures Committee. So I will recognize Chair Carroll of that committee for a committee report. Chair Carroll, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Let me just get this.
Chairman, can I ask
Okay.
a question
Oh,
before starting?
Of course.
On these action items, will we be taking action on each individual change and then an overall motion at the end, or how will we be?
I think I think the form of the committee report is that, and Chair Carroll can let me know if he disagrees with it. But I think the form of the committee report is that it attaches everything that the committee did and recommends that the commission approve it. And so if the commission is inclined to, say, hey, committee, that's, if that's the motion that he makes and someone seconds it and that's what we approve, then it takes care of everything in one motion. If the committee wants to say, hey, we want to talk about this piece, about this, we can do it that way too. So I think it's the will of the commission how we address what we do. But let's hear the report from the committee and the motion, if any, from the committee chair, and then we'll decide what we're going to do as regards procedure. So, Chair Carroll.
Yes, thank you, Chair West. And you actually explained it exactly how I was going to explain it, just to give a big recap on what happened. So the Bylaws and Policies and Procedures Review Committee, we met 3 times in June and July to review both documents to get input. And we also had Commission Counsel there as well with the Executive Director. We've prepared red line revisions to the Bylaws and Policies and Procedures, which I had sent to the committee at large last Friday. If I remember correctly, the recommendations were unanimously developed with one member absent for the final vote. And as Chair West said, we're recommending that the commission adopt these changes to take effect immediately upon approval. Is there any questions that anybody has, or would they like, if not, I'd like to motion that we actually adopt these bylaws and policies.
Okay, so there's a motion from the committee chair that we adopt the bylaws and policy procedures as recommended by the committee. Is there a second?
Commissioner Robinson is second.
Okay, second by Commissioner Robinson. So now, is there any discussion?
Yes, Chairman.
Okay, Commissioner Knight.
I do think that if there are some areas we can, or I can get some answers.
Of course, yeah. Chair Carroll is ready for questions and answers. Is that right, Chair?
Yeah, I have the document pulled up. Let me know if you're going for the bylaws or the policies ones, actually.
First, the bylaws, Chair.
Okay.
So initially, Article 4. Let's
Okay,
see.
Article 4, yeah.
Point of order, Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair.
Yes,
I have
sir.
a point of order. I think that the speaker should identify themselves, even though they know who they are, but the public don't know who's speaking. So I think that we should identify ourselves as to who I am. And so when a question come out, that it be reflected right in the minutes.
It doesn't make sense, Commissioner. I appreciate you raising that point. So, Commissioner Anaya is recognized, and she may want to identify herself.
Thank you, Chairman. So Commissioner and I with a couple questions. I'm gonna actually go back to Article 3. Just a little bit of a duplicate of words on section C. Where it says the vice chair shall preside commission meetings in absence or at the request. It repeats itself again, otherwise it's just at the request of the vice chair.
Oh, I see that. Nice catch. Thank you, Commissioner Naya.
And if we fast forward to Article 4. So the annual review states that we will score the executive director for 11 duties, which you'll see on the very next page. But there's actually 12 listed under the commission staff. So if we could just get that corrected.
Okay, yeah, I wonder if that was a formatting issue, if that wasn't supposed to be. Okay, thank you. This.
And then in section B, we have here that such annual review shall utilize the most recent form provided by SPO as a guide to the commissioners. I wondered if we could leave out this as a guide, primarily because this is an exempt position and the way that we do the evaluation process is a little different from a classified SPO evaluation. So maybe just taking out the SPO as a guideline so it doesn't limit us in any way, shape, or form. I don't know if that would limit us, but just to be safe, and council can say if I'm incorrect.
No, you're correct. This is Hazel, Commissioner Amelia, and Commissioner Anaya is correct that we should take out the provided by SPO as a guide to the commissioners language.
Okay, I guess we could take a motion on, would you like to raise a motion, or how do we do this to take that?
So,
I mean, I
so
agree with
let's-
Commissioner Naya.
let's do this. Let me just say, I'm gonna make a point about this one, and I can make a point about procedure. So, the SPO form kind of has some good things in there to think about, right? As you're doing an evaluation. And they do have a form that is specifically for, folks who are in supervisory roles, like an executive director. It has some helpful questions. It has some helpful things to think about. We recently did an evaluation of this executive director using the SPO form, and I'd like to think we found it helpful. I think we could create our own form. Looking at the SPO form, we could create our own form. Dr. Melia may have her own forms that she references that we could say that, the commission shall develop its own form and may reference the SPO form. But I do think it makes, I think it would be smart for us to look at the state personnel office, the questions that they recommend that you look at and consider, and the areas that they suggest that you evaluate when you're looking at doing an evaluation. Because that's the primary purpose of the state personnel office. I think in a way, I think it's a matter of not being limited to just doing things the way that SPO would do it, but using SPO's experience as a guide, it seems to be wise. So, maybe this language we just say that the commission shall, the commission shall develop a form, which may reference the SPO form, but which may include reference. What do you think of that? Commissioner Robinson, you want to speak?
I don't see that as invasive, the way it's written. I think the committee just said use SB as a guide. And so I think that your point is well taken, Chair, that it's just a guide. And why can't we use that? And all the years in personnel that I worked, a form provided by a superpower such as the State Personnel Board would be a great guide for us to use. We don't have to adopt everything they say, but it's just a guide, and we can create our own from that guide. So I don't see anything wrong with the way it's written.
So let's go to council. Council, does the current language limit us, right? Because that's the root of Commissioner Anaya's concern.
Sure, yeah.
does it, if we say that we're gonna use the most recent form provided by SPO as a guide, does that limit us to just using what SPO provides, or is that capturing the prudential concern that we want to, use the experience of SPO to help us do our evaluation and not be limited by it?
I think maybe the way it's written, the sentence might be a little confusing. It seems to say you'll use the SPO form. Sorry. So maybe just changing the sentence to say that, sorry, the SPO, the state personnel office form be the basis, or it could provide. Yeah, I think it just, the way it's written, it kind of makes it look like you're gonna use that form and that form is provided as a guide. So maybe that's where the confusion is.
What if we change the word shall to may? Such annual review may utilize the most recent form provided by SPO as
I mean, you
guidance to
use
the
it.
extent helpful.
I mean, I guess maybe my question is the intention, is the commission intending to create a bylaw that says there will be actually a form, like something that's the basis? So like, is there gonna be a form, or is it just gonna be guidance?
But see, the bylaw used to say that we would use SPO form SPO-002.001 revision such and such. And so what we were trying to address in committee is the fact that SPO changes the forms
Sure does.
and updates it. And so, so we said, well, we've used the most recent form, but still the concept was previously that we use it as guidance, not as, something written in stone that we must use.
I guess maybe just from my perspective, because we're trying to put it in bylaw, do you want it to be that there is going to be a form that gets filled out so that like there's a specific form, whether or not it's a SPO form when you create, or do you just want to be maybe referring to SPO? I mean, it sounds like maybe the intent of the commission is that there's going to be some kind of form that everyone gets and then can fill out to use.
And I think that's the idea, that it helps facilitate the evaluation, and we have, either we create it or we get it from somewhere, right? And consider something. And so if we don't use the SPO form, we can just say that we're going to create our own. I can tell you that if we're gonna create our own, it'd be smart for us to use the SPO form to help create it. Dr. Melia.
So, I understand about the limitation of the word SPO, that verbiage itself, because you are a GovX person, correct? And the SPO form is used for classified people. However, if we can just take out the word SPO or the acronym SPO and then footnote guide and then footnote it at the bottom saying that, using it as a template, SPO, the SPO or ME, Manager Employee Performance Appraisal form as a guide.
Okay.
I don't know.
Oh, all right,
As a footnote.
So what if it said this then, doctor and commissioners? Such annual review may utilize appropriate. Hang on one second, Executive Director, I got to find the end of my thought here.
Okay, I'm just raising my hand because there's a hand up.
Okay, I'll come to that person as soon as I finish my thought. So just know I'm coming to you soon. Such annual review may utilize appropriate manager, director, supervisor, evaluation forms as a guide,
And then footnote it at the bottom.
including but not limited to forms that may
Right.
be published by SPO,
Right.
and in a footnote. Okay, so consider that as potential revision to that language, and somebody has their hand up, you recognize Commissioner Carroll, Chair Carroll.
Yes, thank you, Chair. And I just kind of want to circle back to the beginning of this discussion. I know Commissioner Robertson was saying, it really is like the sentence is as good as it is because we're saying as a guide, right? A guide doesn't mean it's a controlling document. A guide doesn't mean like we're bound to it. I feel like, this is a great philosophical conversation about how to structure this, but I don't want us to spend too much time on the verbiage when I think by itself, it kind of captured it, right? Like, as a guide, that means, we could eventually develop the form like the council was talking about and what the group had initially intended. Just wanted to share those thoughts.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you, Chair.
And
So,
so to clarify my point, I think the way this sentence is written right now, it kind of makes it look like it says you shall use this O form. It just kind of, that looks like what it says. We're all sort of seeming to be in agreement. That's not what the intent is, but someone else down the road might read it and say, well, it says they shall use the form provided by SPO as a guide, like,
so we get, at a minimum, we can change shall to may.
And Chairman, just a quick question. Did you guys look at the SPO evaluation form when you made that decision?
But we did share and circulate this vote forms amongst the committee. And of course, we, at the time, we were also, all of us as a commission engaged in doing an evaluation. So we were relatively fresh in mind. So all that said, Commissioner Naya, I made a suggestion there for you. I don't know how you feel about it. Just saying, based off what Dr. Melia said, that the annual review may utilize appropriate manager, director, supervisor, evaluation forms as a guide to commissioners with a footnote saying including but not limited to forms published by SPO.
And Chairman, I think that I'm more comfortable with that.
Okay, all right. So now let's talk about procedure on the several changes that are being discussed. Because right now the motion is to approve the changes that the committee has recommended, and Commissioner Nye is going through and identifying several things. And I expect maybe by the time you finish, you may suggest to the committee chair if he will accept the changes, and if he does, then we'll have an amended motion. And maybe that's the way that we handle it, just sort of like in a bundle. Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. What else, if anything, do you have to discuss about the bylaws?
So moving forward to Article 7. There was an entire section stricken from this bylaw. So the proposed changes are to remove what was previously a thorough discussion of how commissioners may add items to an agenda. So I don't see where any information has been added to reduce all of that language. The way I read this is it looks like only the chairman can add items to the agenda. So I would like that cleared up.
Let's see, let me refresh my memory on what happened here. I felt like we were trying to remove duplicative language, and we did have a way to,
I want to pull up the policies because did we move this to the policies instead of the bylaw section?
I'm really appreciating your memory on this one, Chair, because.
Yeah, I think that's what I'll try to pull that one up. I think that was
My memory is saying that we were trying to address a redundancy, and I really wish we had put a note here to refresh our memories. I'm sorry, Commissioner, this work was done over several months, and Commissioner Traub, do you have a recollection as to why what we were trying to streamline or address here?
I'm actually trying to pull up I think we might have moved this section into the policies and procedures document instead, or we might have refined it there, but I want to pull it up just to make sure.
Well, will you guys recall your memory? The section C, right under that, where it says where the bylaws are silent, Robert's rules of order shall be used as a guide to the conduct of official meetings. There are 12 additions. Can we outline which edition of Robert's rules? Maybe spelled out a little bit clearer. Does that make sense?
I don't understand.
So here it says where the bylaws are silent.
Right.
And then it says Robert's rules of order shall be used as a guide to the conduct of official meetings. Is that all the additions or a specific edition of Robert's rules?
Oh, edition,
Yeah.
E edition.
E.
Oh, okay. You know, that's a good point. And the previous bylaws did not specify an edition either. So shall we just say the most recent edition? That's what council is suggesting.
Okay, the most recent.
Okay.
That's the intention. That's probably the easiest way to keep it updated.
That was sort of in my head too, so I'm glad you said it out loud, and if that's okay with Commissioner Naya, that takes care of that one.
So if we can get clarity on if those are moved to the policy, only because overall, it looks like it could create a risk around the Open Meetings Act compliance if we don't have anything about the agenda and who can add items.
So one of the problems was that, and see if this refreshes recollection on the part of the committee members, is what I think, so I think, oh yeah, okay. Blaine, are you online too? Because Blaine has a memory as well. And I know he was present for these committee meetings. Blaine Moffett might, if he's there, may be able to help with this as well.
He's not.
Okay, I think part of the discussion here and what we were trying to do, because we have adopted an open meetings resolution. And it says,
Yeah.
this is how we're going to, and so there was some conflict between what is written here and what is in the Open Meetings Act resolution. And so we're resolving conflict between how number one, the timing on how we have meetings, because if it's necessary to have a more urgent meeting, Open Meetings Act and the Open Meetings Resolution will allow us to have a more quick meeting in urgent circumstances. This language in our bylaws will prohibit us from doing that because we have to give essentially 14 days notice for every possible meeting. So I know that was part of the motivator for the changes here. And knowing that we do have an Open Meetings Act resolution and that the commission has to approve that annually, I think that was part, Commissioner Carroll, that's part of the redundancy conflict issue probably that was in your memory. Does that sound right, Chairman?
Yeah, that's making sense.
So that, we really wish Blaine was here because he helped us, try to navigate that difficulty and figure out what to do and how to address that conflict. So that's part of what's coming back to my memory here as to why this change was done. I can assure you it was not done to, prohibit commissioners from having the opportunity to make changes. If a commissioner, I could just tell you as chair, if a commissioner has something they want on agenda, I don't tell them no.
Right, and that wasn't really a concern, more so if the chair isn't available, who has the authority to put agenda items on there.
Right. So I think that was part of what we were trying to address there.
So council.
Yeah.
And chairman, by striking all of this language, because it may or may not have to do with the Open Meetings Act that was approved by the commission, does this have any risk or because it's in there, like,
I mean, so I don't think what's, this section is like causing a problem with respect to compliance with NOMA. Right, I mean, just in terms of that, because the main concern of NOMA is just that agendas are made public, at a minimum of 72 hours prior to the meeting, and I haven't seen the current resolution, I guess. I mean, that's really the main thing, right? That the public, the notice is posted ahead of time, the agenda is posted ahead of time, then a person, things that aren't on the agenda don't get brought up. That's kind of like pretty much what NOMA itself is concerned with.
Blaine is now on the call.
Oh, cool.
good.
Sweet.
Blaine.
Then have the plain signal.
Hello,
you did.
good afternoon.
Blaine, we're happy you're here because we would like to lean on your memory from our bylaws and policy procedure committee meeting, where we decided that under Article 8, that Section B, that we would do a strike of the several paragraphs under Section B there. It's there on the screen if you can see it.
Okay,
And so Commissioner Anaya is asking why we did that. And so I'm trying to call on my memory as best I can, and Chair Carroll and Commissioner Traub, we all are trying to do that. And the best that I could come up with is the issue where, when the bylaws require an agenda to be circulated to all the commissioners at least 14 days before a meeting, that conflicts with the Open Meetings Act resolution, and the Open Meetings Act itself with regard to, the possibility of having an urgent meeting or an emergency meeting
Mhm.
and giving 72 hours of notice, because the bylaws are basically saying that can never happen. That's as much as I could recall as to why we did that. I kind of feel like there was also a redundancy issue, but I can't seem to remember where else this would be addressed, or where we have other language addressing this. So, do you have some recollection that can help Commissioner Naya with the strikeout here?
Yes, absolutely. So, and I think, Chair West, you were pretty spot on your recollection. So I would say that I remember the discussion we had on this particular item is, having these in the bylaws isn't particularly necessary. It's adding additional requirements that aren't necessary under the Open Meetings Act. And so, part of it is y'all can figure out what that looks like, but every year under the Open Meetings Act, you're required to give what's called, basically what is going to be deemed notice for the commission. And that is typically done through an Open Meetings Act resolution. And so since that needs to be done every year anyway, and that can be updated, having it here seems to be redundant. And the fact that that needs to be done every year, it's easier to change the Open Meetings Act resolution than go through and change all the bylaws, to afford notice. Also, this one isn't, because it's 14 days, which is fine. Our office through our OMA guide and for a long time has recommended that 10 days is what we could consider reasonable notice to post a notice of a meeting. The agenda is due 72 hours ahead of time, but should there be an instance where there might be reason to have a special meeting, that is typically a 72-hour notice, which is what's required for under the Open Meetings Act. So I think you're right. It's a bit redundant. You're having to do it through the OMA Resolution Act anyway. And so, having it here and being inconsistent with that resolution doesn't make a lot of sense. Plus, you can more easily update it every year and determine what adequate notice is for the board on a regular basis more easily.
Yeah, thank you, Blaine. That helps refresh my memory too, and I appreciate it.
Sure.
And honestly, the refreshed recollection makes me feel better about the change. I will say that as we move to quarterly meetings, I do, wonder and potentially worry that we may need to have a meeting, more quickly in the interim between those times. And so, I think it makes sense to not have conflict with our Open Meetings Act resolution, so it can be clear what it is that, how we're gonna call a meeting in the interim if we need to.
And I would agree with that, because under the Open Meetings Act, the commission is required to determine what reasonable notice is for it every year. So if there are times where you may feel like you do need a special meeting that's not one of your quarterly meetings or annual meetings, having that outlined in that annual notice, annual resolution to determine that notice would be easier than confining yourself to what this bylaw says here.
Thank you.
And
Sure.
we're doing even better about giving notice. The notice for this meeting was published at least 10 days in advance with the agenda. And so we're improving with the amount of notice that we're given. And I think with that, we gave commissioners even more than 2 weeks notice of the draft agenda I'm in favor of giving everybody, commissioners and the public, more time, more notice, more opportunity to give comment, because I know I don't have all the wisdom in my head so their commissioners may say, we need to add this to the agenda. I know that. And so we're gonna get those drafts circulated to commissioners so they can, and we can also address that in our Open Meetings Act resolution, but I don't think we want to have conflict between the bylaws and that. All right, anything else?
Just wanted to clarify that we are adding in the language that says the most recent edition of Robert's Rules.
Sure, I don't have a problem with that. And matter of fact, what we'll do is go back in bullet point fashion and address what it is that you would suggest to the chairman as a friendly amendment, and I think it should include that. That sound okay? Okay. Chair Carroll, I think you're gonna have a motion for a friendly amendment incoming that addresses a few things. Do you have a list of a bullet point of what those few things are?
Well, I remember the first two were just grammatical corrections. Let me see. There is
Yeah, 11 to 12. And in the vice chair section, at the request of the chair, there was a redundancy there to fix.
yes,
right?
vice chair section. Yep.
And then there was a little revision there about the annual review on the commission may utilize appropriate manager, director, supervisor evaluation forms, footnote including form published by SPOke. And then I think the last one is the most recent edition of Robert's Rules. So that's Commissioner Anaya's motion for you for a friendly amendment to your committee report.
To attachment A.
To attachment A.
I have a
So
couple for attachment B.
let's take attachment A first. Do you accept Commissioner's friendly amendment to your attachment A?
I do actually. Yeah. Does anyone second that or?
Now, I think it's sufficient that you accept it, and so if the friendly amendment is done, I believe that's right. Anybody disagree with it can make a point of order, and we can look at the most recent edition of Robert's Rules. Nobody seems to disagree. All right, so Commissioner Naya to discuss attachment B.
Thank you, Chairman and Chair. Okay. Attachment B, let's see. On section 1.
And thank you, Commissioner, for your careful review of these documents. Appreciate it.
So, 1.2. There's a small change that removes the requirement that a majority of disinterested commissioners approve transaction involving commissioners, management, and employees. As amended, the policy now appears to permit interested transactions as long as there is a disclosure. There's the removal of an important financial control, or there is a removal of financial control. So it's unclear what the reasoning for removing this control is. Also unclear why interested transactions should be permitted.
Okay, so I'm gonna recognize Blaine to address this, because there's actually several changes and they're all related together, and so the changes are coordinated for a specific purpose. So there's a change to the definition of financial interest. There's a change to the definition of business, for example. So there's several related changes, and they're intended to make a clarification to what we're intending to do. Recognizing Blaine.
Sure, thank you. So yes, there are a few changes in here. Just trying to bring it in line with a few different things. So kind of businesses can be a lot of different things. And so, part of it is making sure it's in line with a few different statutes. One is anything dealing with the procurement code, which hosts a whole lot of different things, anything dealing with the Governmental Conduct Act and what that means. And so kind of making sure it's a little bit more encompassing of, different corporate structures that are recognized in the law. It also kind of needs to be a little bit encompassing and thoughtful of the anti-donation clause in our Constitution. So that was primarily the reason for those changes.
Right, Commissioner Naya.
Any insight, Blaine, on why interested transactions would be permitted at all? Is that due to either of the statutes, procurement code, the GPA, or anything that you listed above?
So let me just get a clarification of, Commissioner, what is meant by, where are you talking about? What language are you talking about?
Here in the 1.2 E,
1.2 E.
E
Okay.
1 and C. So
Okay.
here, member management and employee transactions.
Okay. All right, so I'm looking at E1C, and the language used to say this. No business in which a member, management, or employee or a family member has a financial interest shall engage in a transaction with the, I'm going to use shorthand, commission, unless the member, management, or employee has disclosed the family member's financial interest in the business to the shorthand commission in the manner provided in subsection C of this policy prior to engaging in the transaction. And then it used to say, and with respect to transactions of members and management and employee transactions in excess of $1,000, the transaction is approved by a disinterested majority of Martin Luther King Jr. Commission members. All right. So that first language there, it says, and with respect to all transactions of members and management and employee transactions. Okay, Blaine, you have a recollection on this?
If I remember correctly, the reasoning we were trying to move a little bit of that is taking out the excess of the $1,000 part. But typically, that's in law, there's a lot of different things dealing with conflicts of interest. And so that it's a fairly like standard part in terms of making sure there's no family members, any oversight, any of those financial interests in those types of transactions. That also goes in line with the Governmental Conduct Act, in terms of making sure there's no like any weird conflicts that come up, that would subject yourselves to those ethical violations in that aspect either. So that's my recollection of those changes there.
And then that helps me too, because since you said that, I remember you explaining in addition at C1 on the previous page, and Blaine had said that we would add that the commission, that we're going to adhere to the following principles and say, and that we are subject to the Governmental Conduct Act, and that we cite the act. And so I think Blaine was trying to tell us, listen, we're going to say that we're subject to the Governmental Conduct Act, but also we're not going to try to, repeat, restate, rewrite the whole act in our. Right.
Yeah, I just go here again, just for everyone else. I also do see that sometimes we run into this issue with like other boards and commissions that have rulemaking authority, and then sometimes they try to, repeat everything that's in a statute, and if the statute gets updated or changes, and you have a weird conflict, and so that just gets messy. So I agree. I think the reference to specific piece of legislation is often really helpful idea, because everyone can go look that up really easily, even more easily than the Bible.
All right. Did it help, Commissioner?
Yeah, thank you. So if we go forward to page 25, section 2, the human resources. 2.4, officer training. I guess it's going on to 26. Page 20. This is just a question I have, not necessarily anything that needs to be changed, but a clarification. So it removes the requirement for the deputy executive director to participate in training for state employees. Are we eliminating that position, or why would they be exempt from training?
So, I mean, as a practical matter, I don't know that we're saying that the position is eliminated. We're gonna let the executive director weigh in on this in just a second. You know, what I would say is that, we've been told that we have, 2 FTEs and we have the funding for 2 FTEs. And we're about to hire a second FTE that is not gonna be a deputy director. And so it's gonna be a program manager coordinator. So, at that point, it seemed like the policies and procedures need to be updated to reflect the fact that functionally, we're not gonna be having a deputy director unless and until the legislature might decide to give us more funding for more FTEs, and the executive director decides that we need to hire a deputy executive director. So there's a number of conditions that need to be, the contingencies that need to happen before we even get there. So I think the committee was thinking, just practically speaking, there ain't no deputy, and there probably is not gonna be one for some time.
So just, can we put the word staff or maybe add in the program manager? Because the way I see it reads, the executive director and CFO of the commission shall participate in training, but it doesn't say anything about your program manager or if you get another FTE, so just maybe.
Yeah, that's a good point. How would you, like to read, just change all those 3 words, all staff, all management, maybe the word, because it has to define word management there. So maybe we just shorten and simplify and just say all management.
Okay.
Blaine, do you like that? Does that work?
Yeah, I think that's good. I think that gives you some flexibility there, so.
Okay, does that work for you, Commissioner?
Yeah.
All right, you sure?
Okay, 3.1.
Yeah, Corolla, I hope you're keeping notes on your incoming friendly amendment.
I am. So far, we have one in the policy section.
Okay,
So 3.1, also, there's a change in here that removes the authority of the commission's treasurer to sign on bank accounts and banking documents. I don't think we have a treasurer, but
right.
can this section be explained to me?
Good. Let me see. I'm looking at 3.1.
It goes to authority to approve.
Yeah, it says and treasurer. Yeah, I think the motivator behind that is there is no treasurer.
Okay. So, it's B, sorry. So who, the commission, the chair of the commission executive shall be authorized to sign. Is the executive director allowed to sign? Or is this something that more than one person, it has to be 2 people? How does that work currently?
So right now, my understanding is the commission does not have a bank account. And so, this language is here if we ever did, but executive director, you want to correct?
We share the bank account with the state.
Right, that money is at the state treasurer.
So when we receive warrants from DFA, I have to sign that they were received.
So my understanding is that this language has never been pertinent because we don't have a bank, like an external bank. Our quote unquote bank is the state of New Mexico with the state treasurer's office. So still, we didn't have a treasurer, so we took that out. I don't know, you know, if we ever will have a bank. If we do, this standard language that is there. I think it is standard procedure for there to be more than one signatory, you know, on bank accounts. So, you know, if that is helpful to you.
I do have a question.
Dr. Melly?
The chair, under D on page 28 here, authorized delegations of authority. Since we are removing the deputy director language on there, it does say appointments must be approved by the executive director or deputy director as appropriate. Do we want to leave that language there since we're removing deputy director on the previous page regarding training?
Yeah, you know, we might add it to, the friendly amendment that, Chair Crowell, we could search and look for references to deputy director and take them out. And then if, the commission ever does in the future decide that it is going to have a deputy director, they can, you know, be updated at that point.
Okay.
Does that
Okay.
sound like, okay, all right?
Executive director or management, like.
Well, in some instances, maybe all management makes sense. In other instances, maybe we don't want all staff to be doing things. Maybe we do want the exec director or deputy director to be the only ones doing.
I understand.
Yeah. Back to you, Commissioner Naya.
Okay, so just one more, just a question, 3.7.
3.7. Page. It's like
Let's go to page 33.
page 33.
So it says in number 4, general service division review, and I think I have I'll leave here. Give me just one second. I need to pause.
Oh, it's okay. Take your time.
I
While,
think she's locked outside.
okay, while you're doing that, anybody else have anything, on, any discussion? On either A or B, bylaws or policies and procedures? Oh, locked outside the building
Yeah,
here?
yeah.
Oh, okay,
She's done. Okay, then.
okay. Thank you, Executive Director.
So the question I have may be something that the executive director has to answer. It's on the general services. It says final review of any service contract greater than $5,000 or subject to subject to review of GSD shall be reviewed and approved by GSD. Is this a special consideration? Because with GSD usually handles our contracts anything over 60,000.
I believe this was a Blaine addition. So Blaine, Mr. Moffett, I'd like to recognize you, sir.
Sorry. Yes, thank you. So, so for general services contract under GSD for professional services, anything over $60,000 typically has to go out for an RFP, but GSD does require review of any actual contract over 5,000. There doesn't have to be the full RFP above anything under 60,000. And then anything under $5,000, they don't require their review.
You may know more about this than I, Blaine, but with the new rules that started July 1st through DFA, does GSD still require over 5,000 or is it in line with DFA on the 20,000?
I would have to look at that more specifically to make a determination of whether that has changed that specifically to that number.
So if I'm understanding, if the rule has changed, maybe the number here needs to change. Is that right, Commissioner?
Yes, if it has changed.
Okay, so could perhaps your motion can include a a change if the rule has changed a change to conform with the rule if necessary.
Okay,
All right, so Chair Carroll has that now on his list of bullet points for friendly amendment. That sounds okay to you, Blaine?
Yes, absolutely. I would absolutely want to make it in line with whatever the actual requirements are for review.
Doug knows the answer already.
I do.
Yeah. Okay, all right, okay, all right.
and Chairman, that is all for me.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Yeah, these are important documents and they require thorough, careful review. And we really appreciate everybody who takes the time to look through them carefully. Now, with that, hello, we are able to put the friendly motion to you, Commissioner Carroll. Chair Carroll, as to attachment B to the committee report that relates to policies and procedures. How many points do you have? Do you mind restating what you have on your list?
Yeah, so I have 3 points. There was one for section 2.4. A, it was the language should be changed to all staff. I think this was in regarding to sending people for training. So it was just executive director, and this is when we had the deputy director conversation. Then there's just oh yeah, I guess this is a point of correction to remove any reference to deputy director throughout the document. And then the last one is for section 3.74 in regards to the GSD review that we were just talking about. A change to conform with the $5,000 rule if necessary. So those are the 3 ones I
Okay.
got for this section. Am I missing anything?
Commissioner Naya said that's good. Those are her points and that's a motion. Is that right, Commissioner?
Yes, Chairman.
Okay, so do you accept it as a friendly amendment to your committee report motion?
I do, Chair West.
All right, so then we have a second friendly amendment that addresses attachment B. So commissioners, we have a committee report that's been twice amended in a friendly fashion as to attachments A and B. And is there any further discussion, questions, comments, anything related to the floor that is on the table? Hearing none, we'll ask Secretary Chair Carroll, as Secretary, please call the roll.
Okay, on adopting the bylaws and procedure, I will start with you, Commissioner Dabney.
Abstain.
Okay, abstain. Next, Commissioner Judge Tammy Lambert. Not here. Next, Commissioner Mela.
Yes.
Yes. And then State Treasurer Designee, Commissioner Anaya.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And then it comes to me, PRC Designee. I say yes. Then it goes to the Secretary of State Designee, Commissioner Pino. Not here. Then Commissioner Oscar Robertson.
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Brandy Stone. Right here. Commissioner Traub.
Yes.
Okay. Vice Chair Williams. Actually, before I forget, Commissioner Raffini. So, no as well. And then last but not least, oh no, there's 2 people actually. Commissioner Anthony Yumi.
Yes.
Yep. And last but not least, Chair West.
I vote yes, and I just want to check, did you vote, Chair Carroll?
Yeah, I voted yes.
You voted yes, and then Commissioner Naya, did you?
Yes.
You voted yes, okay. And then, the vice chair, did you call her?
Yeah, I called her, but yeah, she's not
She's
here.
not here. Okay, and then what is your vote count then, Secretary?
So there was 1 abstaining, and then there was 7 yeses.
Okay, so then, that motion carries, even by the heightened standard of 2/3 majority to amend the bylaws. Yeah, motion carries and the committee report is adopted as amended and the bylaws and the policy procedures are amended. Thank you, commissioners. Okay, so that takes us to the next item of business. It is the Strategic Action Planning Committee report. We don't have our committee chair, co-chair Stone. We do have committee co-chair Trump, but I don't think committee co-chair Trump was necessarily intending to present this committee report today. I think the plan was for Dr. Stone to do it. So, in absence of Dr. Stone, I might be able to do it. I think the committee report is very thoroughly written and speaks to a large extent for itself. I'm thinking if we should try to call Dr. Stone and see if she's able to join, and even if just by telephone and speak to it, give her the opportunity to speak to it if she'd like to. Executive Director, do you mind doing that?
Yes, give me one more.
Thank you. And if for any reason Dr. Stone is unavailable, co-chair Bob, if you prefer, because I was present at the most recent meetings and at the finalization of the report, I can present it on behalf of the committee if you prefer. Or if you prefer, I can defer to you as well. So
If
we
you
can
wouldn't
come up.
mind, if we can't get a hold of Commissioner Stone, if you wouldn't mind, Chair Little, that would be appreciated.
Yeah, okay, that sounds good. And that's what we'll do in that circumstance. Thank you, Executive Director. So we can stand by, right?
Mhm.
I appreciate everybody's patience. I feel like we're making good time on our agenda today. And we have, some important items and we're still taking care of business. So that's good. I'm going to, just to make sure we make use of time, I'm gonna take an item out of order without objection on the agenda. I think I can do that now, because we've amended the bylaws to say we can do things under Robert's rules. And, without objection, I'm gonna take an item on the agenda out of order, which is, we'll take up item number 15 now, which is next meeting. So all commissioners should have on their calendars now, information about our next meetings and calendar invites. And as discussed at the last meeting, we did a poll to assess the greatest availability among the commissioners for dates in October, January, March, and June. So we can set our meetings in advance for the rest of the fiscal year. And there were dates, the dates that I chose are the dates when most commissioners were available, right? Because we don't make quorum, we don't do business. So I was chasing a quorum. And unfortunately, there were some dates that didn't work for some, did work for others. There was no date that worked for everybody. But I was picking the date that worked for the quorum, right? Wednesday, October 22nd. Wednesday, January 28th. Wednesday, March 18th. Friday, June 26th. So October 22nd, 2025, January 28th, 2026, March 18th, 2026, June 26th, 2026. And I tried to accommodate folks as much as possible, but again, we had to chase the quorum, otherwise we can't do the business.
March, what was the March?
March 18th, Wednesday, March 18th,
And there was one more after that.
and then Friday, June 26th. All right, so that took care of item number 15.
Dr. Stonson.
Okay, and Dr. Stone is on, so we'll go back now, without objection. We'll go back to, item number 9 on our agenda, which is Strategic Action Planning Committee Report. We have Co-Chair Stone. Thank you for, being available and able to join us, and for your work on the committee as co-chair. And I understand that this committee has a report for the commission.
Yes, thank you, Chair West and Madam Executive Director Kervin and Commissioners. We have completed our strategic plan in alignment with the charge sent out to us last fall. A report has been sent to you all, and essentially the plan is inclusive of a SWOT analysis with our current executive director, leadership convenings with our community advisory panel, a survey that was sent out statewide, in addition to community convenings and meetings that the executive director had over the summer via larger scale Albuquerque-wide listening sessions and individual meetings. And so we are happy to present 3 overarching goals to move the commission forward with. Do you want me to go page by page? I apologize. Or do I need to just give an overview?
Doctor, it's in your discretion. I think the
Okay.
overview is fine,
Okay.
but if you would like to do page by page, then we can do that too, but I'm happy to do it however you prefer.
Sure. So I'll just do a brief review that when we started our strat plan, we aligned ourselves around 4 particular values: engagement, community, advocacy, and education. And so we looked at our vision and our mission, and we just tightened it a little bit in terms of language, particularly around using more action-oriented verbs to really drive the fact that we are committed to a new day at MLK with new activities and new initiatives that we seek to pursue as we continue to build our reach across the state. And then I'll move in to say that we have 3 overarching goals with tactics for how we hope to transform these objectives into tangible solutions to help support the state of New Mexico. And I think that's about it. Our goals are really centered on marketing, outreach, and collaboration, program development and delivery via intergenerational efforts that range from youth activities to larger scale ambassador programships and multi-generational program outreach, followed by operational efficiency, growing infrastructure, and workforce excellence to strengthen the internal operations of our commission so that we can continue to reach the span of our 33 counties. So within the report, you'll see some of the timelines for how we seek to achieve the various goals that we have set out. A lot of them are ran on quarterly, biannual, and annual reviews. We set 3 overarching goals, because we know at this time we only have 2 professional staff members. And so we want to make sure that it's realistic that we're able to achieve the work that we're setting out to do in the next 3 to 5 years. And with that, I yield my time.
Well, thank you, Co-Chair Stone and Doctor. We really appreciate your explanation. Do you have a motion for this commission related to this strategic plan?
Yes, I move that we approve the 2025 Martin Luther King Jr. Commission Strategic Plan I think that's it. I move that we approve it.
Thank you, Doctor. Appreciate it. Is there a second?
Second.
And second motion seconded by Dr. Melia. And so in discussion, the first thing that I would want to say here is we really appreciate the hard work of the commissioners on this strategic planning committee. Worked diligently over months on a very thorough, well thought out document. And I really appreciate that. And also especially appreciate the support that we got from the members of the community. Especially the advisory committee members that applied to be on the committee, and especially those that made time to join the committee's meetings and give their thoughts and ideas, help us to develop the survey, give us input on the draft strategic plan. All of that so much appreciated. And also to all the members of the community that took time to complete the survey and send that in so we have information to consider as we're trying to put the strategic plan together. Have to thank the executive director for really getting and helping to put, circulate the surveys, talk to people about the surveys, talk to people about the strategic plan, having that statewide community meeting so folks can have an opportunity to give us ideas and coordinating that, getting those responses, organized and in a format where they can be incorporated into this plan, and sharing her thoughts and vision for what this commission can accomplish as well. So commissioners, community members, executive director, thanks to everybody who put their, thoughts and, ideas into this plan. I think this is the type of work that can really make a difference into how we serve our community. So I want to thank everybody. I just start out discussion that way, open to hear any other discussion, questions, comments, ideas on the strategic plan, the motion that is on the table. Hearing none. Secretary Carroll to call the roll on approval of the strategic plan.
Okay, Commissioner Joseph Dabney,
Yes.
yes. Commissioner Judge Tammy Lambert, Commissioner Hazel Mella,
Yes.
Secretary State Treasury Designee Commissioner Anaya.
Yes.
Okay, so then it goes to me, the PRC designee. I vote yes. Secretary of State or designee Commissioner Sharon Pino. Commissioner Oscar Robinson.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Brandy Stone.
Yes.
Commissioner Carolyn Traub.
Yes.
Yes. Vice Chair Constance Williams. Commissioner Anthony Yumi.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Ruffini. And last but not least, Commissioner Chair West.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's 9 in favor of adopting the strategic action plan.
And that motion carries. And so I just think that is a great accomplishment for this commission. And I want to thank everybody for their support. Co-chair Stone, thank you. Co-chair Traub, thank you. Thank you, committee. Thank you, volunteer advisory committee members. And I'll just make one last comment. It comes right on time. We're doing this right on time. At the time that we said that we were going to create this strategic plan, none of us knew that a strategic plan was going to be required to be submitted with our budget request. We find that out in a memo that came from DFA at the end of this June. So when we set out on this process and approved it in January, we didn't know that we were going to be required to have a strategic plan to submit by September 2nd. We have one now. So good on the commission for being ahead of the game and we're not behind the ball. We have a thorough plan ready to submit with our budget request. And, thankfully, it supports, what I think we probably will request. I guess we're gonna talk about that in a couple minutes. It's one of the action items that are coming up. Now, on to the next item. Number 10, Executive Director, this is related to authorization for CFO contract expenditure approval. Would you like to talk to us about that? Then we'll see if there's a motion on it.
This, the same contract that was submitted at the previous meeting. I've stated before that I'm not an accountant, but I think, between then and now, I might be one. It would just be really beneficial to have the additional support. I think what was stated before in the minutes was that this person would be the final approver, but I would actually serve as the final approver, like on purchase orders and different things like that. We need someone who has the skill set to properly prepare budget projections. Because that is the one form that I have not completely figured out yet. Assist with the fiscal management of the commission and just for there to be another set of eyes and oversight on our finances.
Okay, what's the dollar amount on it?
The dollar amount will not exceed $30,400. And I believe that's the dollar amount that is taken from the one pager that was given to legislators, when there was lobbying for the commission's budget increase. It calls for them to support the commission at least 3 times per week with not exceeding a monthly fee of $2,338, which I think is more than enough support for fiscal management.
Okay, and just so everybody knows that those figures, that number, that came from some research that the vice chair did about, what the cost that he expected to be, and we did our lobbying related to and based off that research. Is there any motion related to this item? Anybody? Is there anyone who would like to move to approve? See, part of the, let me
Randy
add a little bit
Stone,
more.
I move that we approve the the mobile CFO contract for the commission.
Okay, so, all right, is there a second?
Commissioner Robinson is seconded.
Commissioner Robertson to second. And I just want to ask, on the language on that, should it be to authorize the executive director to negotiate and enter into and approve? Because right now, there isn't necessarily a specific contract to approve. Is that right, executive director?
If there's a draft contract
There is a draft contract for a
Yes.
specific CFO.
or let me check the wording. I don't have the specific title. I have more so the scope of work. I think I wanted to check with the GovX hiring person to see can I make them the CFO? Would they have the same abilities that I have in Share to pull things they need to, or if I would have to pull it for them?
Yeah,
But I think I put budget manager or fiscal management or something.
okay. So I think what you might need in motion form is something that authorizes you to. Is this a third party contract outside? This is not an employee, right?
I'm gonna have to do some research on who I'm gonna contact DFA first. To
Okay.
see if there's someone who would like to take this contract.
Okay,
If that's not feasible, then it will be an external person.
okay. So you would like to do okay, so it's either internal to the state or it's external to the state. Either way, it's a contract for the commission.
Yes.
And we don't know exactly who that person is. So I think what you want in motion form from the commission is something that authorizes you to negotiate and execute a contract for mobiles or for CFO up to a certain number.
I think what I would recommend is the motion that Commissioner Stone just said if you want to add that does not exceed $30,400 and expires June 30th, 2026.
Okay, so she's moving to approve a contract, but I don't think there's a contract to approve yet. That's what I'm pointing out. I think the motion needs to be to authorize you to execute a contract not to exceed a certain dollar amount. Right now, there is no. And the action item on our agenda is authorization for CFO contract expenditure approval. So I think what we need to do is authorize.
Okay,
you to
can I
spend-
make a amended motion?
Yeah, you can amend your motion.
Okay. I would like to amend my motion to authorize Executive Director Kervin to enter into a contract for fiscal service support up to 33,000 for this fiscal year, ending June 30th, 2026.
Okay. So Dr. Stone has amended her motion. And and the motion has been seconded. And Commissioner Naya has a question, comment.
Chairman, sorry, it's just that the contract shall not exceed 30,400, not 33,000.
Okay, Dr. Stone?
Do I need to repeat the whole thing?
Yeah, you don't, I think you can just say that you accept the change to the figure from
I
33 to
accept the
30.
change.
Okay, so, and now it's friendly amended, so amended motion. The motion was amended again, it's 30,000. Okay. Any questions, comments, discussion on this item?
I do have
This
one
motion.
question, Chairman.
Commissioner Knight.
So if the commission was to enter into, I don't know if it's an MOU or an MOA with DFA, does that require a contract or is that just a letter that you enter into with DFA if they have a mobile CFO to provide?
It was previously an MOU that was entered with DFA for a mobile CFO. They ended it. It's supposed to be not long term and it kept getting renewed. And then the decision was made to end that MOU. I don't know if the new person that they hire would have the capacity to serve as our mobile CFO.
So I do have something, Chair.
Dr. May.
It is it's a professional services. I don't think it's an MOA or MOU. It's a professional services contract.
Well, when you enter in with DFA, when you get your mobile,
Mhm.
is a contract signed with DFA? Or is it just the letter, the MOU, and then you pay that from your,
Right, the
200.
MOU was signed with DFA.
Okay.
It just that if we could still have our mobile CFO with DFA, that would be my first preference. It just doesn't seem to be an option.
so before a contract is entered into, can we get verification for the commission that DFA either has a mobile CFO to provide or does not before a contract is awarded to somebody outside of the state?
You know, I don't see why Executive Director Kervin would be able to give, like even an interim update to the commission on the status of what's going on. I imagine, she would take into consideration. If anybody's online, you may want to mute because we're starting to open.
There you go.
I gotta get muted.
I don't know. Are they waiting for you to say something?
No, I don't know, they just muted, they just came unmuted.
I'm not sure if you won the floor or not, Commissioner Robinson, but if you did, you unmute yourself and I'll recognize you. But for the moment, Commissioner Naya has the floor and she may be getting ready to make a motion since we don't have one. Commissioner Naya.
I'm ready to make a motion that we accept the authorization for CFO contract expenditure approval not exceed 30,400 with the exception that the executive director will provide the commission an update on a mobile CFO from DFA before entering into a contract with a third party.
Okay, so she would still have authorization to enter into with a third party, but before she would do that, she would notify the commissioners that that is what she is doing.
Right.
It,
The mobile CFO wouldn't fall into the category of our CFO. So if it wasn't cost effective or they didn't have one to provide with the knowledge that she would need.
okay, Executive Director Kerwin.
Would it be possible?
First, let me see if there's a second to her motion. And
Okay.
then, yeah. So the motion is from Commissioner Anaya to authorize the executive director to enter into a CFO contract up to $30,000 through for this fiscal year. And provided that the executive director will notify the commissioners if she determines and the reasons for determining that the CFO will not come from DFA.
Mm.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
I second.
Dr. Mills? Commissioner
Point of
Roberts?
order, point of order. I initially second the motion that was made, and so what happened to that? We never voted on that motion, and now we're
You never
coming back with the same motion.
Yeah, okay, so what happened to that motion, Commissioner Robinson, is Dr. Stone, who made the motion, left the meeting, and before she left the meeting, she stated that she withdrew her motion. So
She amended her motion, yes, but the initial motion wasn't never voted on or denied. So this motion is out of order.
Okay, all right, that's a good point. So what I'm gonna, that's a good question. I don't know if it's correct or not. I'm gonna go to counsel and ask him. But we had a brief discussion about the order of withdrawing a motion after it had been made. And I think counsel had suggested initially, his initial reaction was, it was in order for that to happen. And I accepted that as the correct answer. Now, I understand now that you're questioning that. I don't know off the top of my head what is the correct answer. I'm going to ask counsel what his answer is now that you've raised a point of order about it.
Well, so this is not something that almost ever comes up, so I suppose if we were wanting to be very strict, I could have to get a copy of the most recent copy of Robert's rules and see what it says about withdrawing if we're going to.
First question is,
We can
what
do
is
that.
the most recent edition of Robert's Rules? I have the 9th edition.
Actually, the 12. But
11 is the most commonly used.
it just.
Yeah, and so I might as well throw that version in the trash now.
You don't have the top.
Says withdrawing a motion can be withdrawn by a person who made without needing a vote, as long as no one objects. If someone objects, then a vote may be required to approve the withdrawal.
So at the time, Commissioner, we did briefly discuss it. And I asked counsel if Commissioner Stone could withdraw a motion. Counsel said that he thought that she could. And I said, okay, in that case, I believe that Commissioner Stone has withdrew her motion. And no one objected. And so based off of that, I considered her motion to be withdrawn. I stated so as much. And nobody objected to that. And so based off the fact that nobody objected at the time, that's why we end up taking a new motion And so, and now that motion has been seconded, and that's why we have this new motion on the floor. So
My point is, I was muted. And I didn't have an opportunity to object. So therefore, I think this motion that you have currently, you're discussing is out of order. The other motion needs to be killed by a vote, not by consent or I don't think we should do it. I think it should be killed by a vote just as much as this motion that we're going to vote on to approve it. So the other motion needs to be killed because it was second and it wasn't lost because of the second. It was second, so therefore a vote should have been called.
Okay, well, you know what? I do feel like that under the circumstances with, you know, the hybrid meeting, that some consideration should be given to the fact that Commissioner was muted then when that discussion happened. So, Commissioner Naya, based off this discussion, this is how I'm gonna rule on the point of order. I'm gonna rule respectfully, I'm gonna rule your motion out of order. We're gonna go back to Dr. Stone's motion. She attempted to withdraw it. A commissioner apparently wanted to have an opportunity to say something about that. He was on mute. Commissioner Robinson, Dr.
Yes.
Stone stated that she wanted, and you seconded that motion. She
Yes.
stated she wanted to withdraw her motion before she left the meeting. Do you have anything that you would like to say about that?
No, I don't. I just think the vote should be made on the motion.
Okay,
And I think
so-
that's the order.
so in essence, you object to the withdrawal of Dr. Stone's motion?
Yes, because the vote was not called. It was second, it was
Okay.
properly second. And a vote was
Okay.
not called.
Okay, all right. So I accept your objection to the withdrawal of Dr. Stone's motion. So Dr. Stone's motion is not withdrawn and is still on the floor, the motion that you seconded.
Yes, and it can be defeated by vote, but it can't be taken off the record until a vote is called.
That's correct. Because that's the ruling that I'm making as chair, is that Dr. Stone's motion is not withdrawn because you have objected to the withdrawal of it. All right, so that's where things stand.
So now we vote,
So we're back to Dr. Stone's motion, which I'm saying was never properly withdrawn because the second to that motion had an objection to it being withdrawn.
so we're voting on the withdrawal now.
No, it's just not withdrawn.
Okay,
Yeah, so in other words, what's on the table now is Dr. Stone's motion, which was to authorize the executive director to enter into the contract, $30,000 through the end of the fiscal year. And that motion does not have what was suggested by Commissioner Nye. The motion could be, at this point, because that's the motion on the table, it can be amended. It can be discussed, it can be voted on. So, that's where we are with that motion. Commissioner Umi,
can we just amend it to what she is suggesting?
Commissioner Umi, you would like to see the motion amended to include the
What that,
concept that Commissioner Anaya had in mind,
yes,
which is that the executive director will notify the commissioners if, for the reasons, and, you know, if it should look like the CFO is not gonna come from DFO, she'll notify us of that analysis before entering to a third-party CFO contract. So since the movement of that motion is left the meeting, I don't think you can ask for a friendly amendment. So you just need to move to amend the motion to include that.
I do.
Is there a
move to amend the
second
motion.
to Commissioner Umi's motion to amend Dr. Stone's motion?
Or second that.
Dr. Moore? Okay, Dr. Melia seconded it first. So is there any discussion on the motion to amend? Hearing none, Secretary Carroll, call the roll. On the motion
Okay.
to amend the motion.
Okay, yes, the roll on the motion to amend the motion. Commissioner
Yes.
Joseph Dabney.
Yes.
Okay, that's a yes. Commissioner Judge Tammy Lambert. Commissioner Hazel Mella.
Yes.
Another yes. Secretary Treasurer Lori Montoya or her designee, Commissioner Christine Anaya.
Yes.
Yes, next goes to PRC or the commissioner designee, which is me, and I vote yes. Next is Secretary of State or her designee, Commissioner Sharon Pino. Next is Commissioner Oscar Robinson.
Yes.
Okay, next is Commissioner Brandy Stone. Next is Commissioner Carolyn Traub. Okay,
Sorry, I'm so sorry. Yes.
okay, yes. Next is Vice Chair Constance Williams. Next is Commissioner Anthony Yumi.
Yes.
Next is Commissioner Raffini. And last but not least, Commissioner Chair West.
Yes.
Yes, okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 9 in favor.
Okay,
There's no no's.
all right. So, functionally, we're where we were in the sense that the motion is to approve, the authorization. We're gonna authorize the executive director, enter into a CFO contract up to $30,000. Executive director, provided that the executive director will notify commissioners of our analysis and the reasons in advance of why, if it should be the case, why we're going with a third party versus DFA, if that should turn out to be the case. Executive director.
My question is if the DFA does provide the opportunity to enter into an MOU or a mobile CFO, does this allow for that, this motion, or whatever, we need another vote to enter into that? Okay.
I think if this motion were to carry, you would be allowed to enter into a contract agreement with DFA. And then in that case, you wouldn't need to give the commission, an interim update about that. But if that didn't work out for whatever reason, if you decide that's not the best way to proceed, if you were to decide, if they weren't to offer it, whatever, if it didn't work out with DFA for whatever reason, you just let the commission know in advance before you enter into something with a third party, which you can still do under the motion. Any other questions, comments about the motion that's on the table? Otherwise, we're going to call the roll and move on. Secretary Corolla, call the roll.
Okay, let me start with Commissioner Joseph. Let me pull this up. Dabney.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Judge Tammy Lambert. Nope. Commissioner Hazel Mella.
Yes.
Okay. Secretary State Treasurer Laura Montoya or Commissioner or her designee Commissioner Christine Anaya.
Again, yes.
And again, yes. Okay, so PRC chair or the designee, which is me, I say yes. Secretary of State or her designee, Commissioner Sharon Pino. Okay, Commissioner Oscar Robinson.
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Brandy Stone. Commissioner Carolyn Traub.
Yes.
Yes. Vice Chair Constance Williams. Okay. Commissioner Anthony Yumi.
That's Umi.
Umi, I'm sorry, Umi. Yes.
Yes. And yes.
Okay. Commissioner Raffini. And last but not least, Chair West.
Yes.
Okay, so that's 9 in favor.
All right, motion carries. Thank you. Now, we only have 4 action items left. And the next one is authorization for records management contract expenditure, Executive Director.
Yes, I would just like to make the current records of the commission digital. I can retain the hard copies should you all wish. I would not prefer that, just to be clear. I got an estimate from an organization that does records management. There are documents from before I was born in that office. And I would just like it to be
Not very long
digital,
ago, right?
which is not very long ago at all. And I would just like to be able to search them digitally and make them more accessible. Right now, if someone were to do a request for a document, I'd have to close the office for a couple of days to find it for them. In addition to that, there are other technologies that are just no longer of use, like floppy disk, cassette tapes. We don't have a VCR. They're VHS tapes. And I just think it'd be more useful if all this information was digital on a hard drive, accessible in a different way. This is one estimate. Of course, I will go do my due diligence to get the best obtainable price for this to be done. I would just like it to be approved so I can move forward with those steps.
How much?
The current dollar amount on this estimate is $24,484. And 62, I don't even know how to say that, 62 cents. But I think if you all wanted to do up to that amount, around that amount, I would find the supplier to take care of it.
Okay. So I imagine if there was a motion, it would be similar to the last motion that was made to authorize the executive director, to enter into a contract, for, records management up to a certain dollar amount. And the floor is open for motions.
I can do a motion on this also. I motion to authorize the executive director to follow the procurement code and obtain the amount of required estimates along with, I can't put a dollar amount on it because I don't think we should do that until we know what the quotes are. So following procurement code gets the 3 best,
Bids.
following, and enter into a contract or possible contract. I don't know how I should.
For
word that.
digital service.
For digital services.
Okay. So that's the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
And second by Commissioner Umi. Question on the motion. Under the amended policies and procedures, her authority is only to authorize up to $10,000. And she's suggesting that the bid that she has now is 24,000. So it seems likely that the bids that she get is going to be in excess of her authority. So possible, unless we put a dollar amount in excess of 10,000, if the bids come in excess of 10,000, she won't be able to do anything with them. They would probably come back to the commission at the October meeting, unless you put a dollar amount that's more, and then maybe she'll have more flexibility to handle it before the October.
Understood. So I motion to authorize executive director to obtain the best possible price using procurement code up to $24,484.62 for digital records.
Okay. All right. So the motion is amended to include that specific figure of $24,000 and some odd cents, thousand cents that you just mentioned. And is there any discussion on the motion?
I do.
Dr. Melia?
So, Chair, the scanning, so how will the documents be given to the vendor, the chosen vendor? Will they be boxes and given to the vendor so that they can scan it themselves for $75 an hour? That's quite high. But not even that. But is that the process that they're gonna be doing?
Yes, what they explained to me is that they will come pick everything up in boxes, and that they will also store it until the job is complete.
Will there be any PIIs, personal identification, personal information? In
I
the doc-
believe there is, when we talk about the contract that we would enter in them with this, there is a section on redacting personal information and a confidentiality form as well. So I know that there are personnel files
Yes.
in those and somewhere in those records, and they would keep that information confidential as well as strike it or whatever is necessary.
Good question.
Chairman, I have a question.
The Commissioner and I.
Commissioner Naya asking, does the state's records agency offer these services where they digitally scan? I know that
Yeah.
you can send your documents or your boxes and they house them, but do they also do the digital scanning?
I think that is something that I can research when trying to, maybe they'll be my first point of contact when trying to get the service.
State records and archives.
Yeah.
And just to be clear, there is a difference between just scanning a document and then scanning a document to where it's a searchable PDF.
Right.
Okay, Chairman, I'd like to amend my motion.
Okay.
Just to add that executive director will reach out again to state records and archives before entering into a contract with a third party.
Okay. So she's just gonna make the contact to see what the possibilities are. She's, before, contracting with a third party. All right, motion amended. Now to move it. Any questions, comments, discussion, further discussion? Because and do you mind restating your motion for everybody before, because it doesn't sound like there is, and we don't get ready to vote. And being amended a couple times, they may want to hear it one more
So
time.
the most recent amended motion is to authorize the executive director to enter into a digital records contract not to exceed $24,484.62, pending for outreach to state records and archives to see if they offer this before entering into that third party.
Okay. All right. I don't hear any discussion. That's the secretary to call a roll.
Okay, and I just wanted to make sure that I was writing it down correctly, what this motion is for. Yeah, again, to authorize the executive director to enter into digital records contract that does not exceed $26,484.62, and the executive director must reach out to state records before entering the contract.
24,000, but yes.
24,000.
Okay, 24, so close. Okay, so
Hey,
yeah.
Commissioner Robinson, did you have something you wanted to say?
The point was already taken, 24,000.
Oh, okay, all right.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, starting with the roll, Commissioner Dabney?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Commissioner Judge Tammy Lambert? Commissioner Hazel Mella?
Yes.
Okay, the state treasurer or her designee, Commissioner Christina Anaya?
Yes.
Yes, and then next is the PRC chair or the designee, which is me. Vote yes. Next is the state secretary of state or her designee, Commissioner Sharon Pino. Next is Commissioner Oscar Robinson.
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Raffini. Commissioner Stone. Commissioner Carolyn Traub. Vice Chair Constance Williams. Commissioner Anthony Umi.
Yes, thank you.
And then last but not least, Chair West.
Yes.
Okay, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 3, 4, 5. That's 7. 7 for it.
All right. Okay, commissioners, and then there were 7 commissioners and 3 action items. So we're gonna get through these 3 action items while we got still yet 7 commissioners constituting a quorum to get to them. Item 12, review and approval of commission office lease. Executive Director Kerwin.
The lease expires October 31st, 2025. The initial lease allowed for the renewal to happen via letter to Facilities Management Division of General Services Department. The letter that you all have in your packet is requesting for an additional 5 years. As I shared earlier, I know there are concerns about the redevelopment of the state fairgrounds. Based on what I was advised, those redevelopments wouldn't take place for 3 to 5 years, and I would recommend renewing our lease.
Is there a motion related to the office lease?
So moved.
Okay, Commissioner Robinson moves to approve renewal of the commission office lease. Is there a second?
I second it.
Commissioner Corolla with the second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Commissioner Corolla, call the roll.
Okay, Commissioner Joseph Dabney,
Yes.
okay, that's a yes. Commissioner Judge Tammy Lambert, Commissioner Hazel Mella,
Yes.
yes, okay. Commissioner Christine Anaya,
Yes.
okay, next is me, I vote yes. Commissioner Sharon Pino, Commissioner Oscar Robinson,
Yes.
it's another yes. Commissioner Raffini, Commissioner Brandy Stone, Commissioner Traub, Vice Chair Constance Williams, Commissioner Anthony Umi,
Yes.
yes, and last but not least, Chair West.
Yes,
Okay, so that's seven for it.
motion carries. And then we're 2 action items. It takes us to item 13, legislative budget request. Executive Director Kerwin.
You smile. Letter is not in there.
It's okay, Executive Director, because you circulated it by email and also in hard copy. And you also told us during your presentation in some 15% is what you recommend we request from the legislature for an increase in line with our strategic action plan. Is that about right?
That's correct. And
Okay,
with that time class, this would support that. Yes, sorry that it's not in the screen.
so that's the recommendation, commissioners, from the executive director, and she would, if we approve it, she'll submit that to the legislature, to the Legislative Finance Committee for consideration by that September 2nd deadline, along with our strategic action plan that we've just approved. And so they can take that into consideration for our budget for the next fiscal year. Is there any motion related to the recommendation?
I motion.
I'll make a motion. Okay, the motion is for Commissioner Corolla. You have a motion, go right ahead.
Okay, yes, is there anyone who'd like to second the motion?
I second it.
Okay.
So you move to approve the executive director's recommendation of 15% request?
I do, it's important that we get, the money to make this, organization keep running efficient as it has been the last year.
And I second your motion because I agree with you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Secretary Corolla, call the roll.
Okay, Commissioner Dabney,
Yes.
okay. Commissioner Judge Tammy Lambert, Commissioner Hazel Mella,
Yes.
okay. Commissioner Christine Anaya,
Yes.
okay. Then next to me, I say yes. Commissioner Sharon Pino, or the Secretary of State, Commissioner Oscar Robinson,
Yes.
Commissioner Raffini, Commissioner Brandy Stone, Commissioner Traub, Commissioner Constance Williams, Commissioner Anthony Umi,
Yes.
and Chair West.
Yes.
Okay, so that's seven for approval.
All right. Very good, Commissioners. Thank you for that. Our final action item for today, funding, proposal approval request. This is from the Zeta Phi Beta sorority. It's about the Meet the Candidates. Executive Director had given us a presentation about this during her main presentation earlier in the meeting. She has asked that the commission approve it. She has given us a written disclosure about her membership in this organization and her offices held and et cetera. And, you know, I do have a question about the event, Executive Director, in case you know. Will there be a endorsement of any candidate out of the event, during the event, after the event, related to the event?
Speaking from the conversation that I had with the requests, with the person who did the funding proposal, like I said before, I didn't help, I'm not helping planning this event. It's a nonpartisan event. And just if anyone's curious, the different fraternities and sororities under the Divine Nine, they can't endorse candidates unless they have a separate entity outside of their organization. So there will not be any endorsements.
Okay, all right. So that, I think there might be some concern if we, as a commission, were to fund a event or program where there was an endorsement of a candidate coming out of it. So it helps me to know that there's not. So thank you for clarifying that piece. Will there be any, you know, is there any way in which the event is being structured, the program is being handled, where Dr. King's passion and his teaching and his legacy is being addressed during the forum in specific?
That wasn't outlined in their funding proposal. I can have a follow-up conversation to see if that's something that can be added perhaps to their, they have outlined here, their expected outcomes. So if we want them to add one of their outcomes to be an increased knowledge of Dr. King's legacy and teachings in terms of civic engagement and politics research, I could make that request.
You know, and it's possible maybe even the candidates could be asked questions about what their candidacy speaks, how their candidacy might speak, or what they expect to do if they are, you know, entrusted with public office. How does it serve, how would that honor Dr. King's legacy?
I can have the follow-up discussion to ask that they make that a part of their program. I think if the motion could just be clear that if they say no, does that mean then they do not get their funding proposal on there?
Yeah, so the reason why I ask is I kind of feel like if the commission is going to be, you know, funding the program, that we need to know that it is, we're sponsoring something that is related to our mission and our statutory purpose, and that is furthered, you know, with the funds that we approve. So that's why I asked the question.
Good question.
All right, so Commissioner, those are my questions about the proposal. Commissioner Robinson, is that you wanting to be recognized?
I think that your point, Chairman, is well taken, because I don't see how you can stretch it without stating what the purpose of Martin Luther King is, a commission is in the state. And that this is a far reach to say that you're having a political forum, and people not, and there's no way Martin Luther King philosophies is not pushed into this forum. So I think this motion, I think this funding should be tabled until that is cleared up. I wouldn't want to vote on something that is broad as this.
Yeah, ideally, we would have the person that has submitted the request to be here to answer the questions. And particularly because, you know, executive director is saying she's, you know, conflicted out and she didn't prepare or submit the request. So if that's a motion to table until the person can attend a meeting and help answer our questions, Commissioner, you know, we can, we'll have that for consideration. Is that a motion?
That's a motion to table this proposal until we have clarity from the presenter.
All right, let me ask if there's a second to the motion.
Second.
Dr. Melia seconds it. Okay, Executive Director?
I just wanted to clarify that the date of their event is September 25th, and you all don't meet again until October 22nd.
So is there any possibility that, so if we wanted the question asked, you know, during the forum, I suppose they could always, ask the question and then, when we meet again, say, you know, we did ask this question of the candidate, so Dr. King's, you know, principles and teachings were addressed during the forum. And we, you know, so we, you know, renew our request now that we're here to, you know, have someone to speak to it. Any thoughts, discussion on the motion to table?
Yeah,
the next
Commissioner
meeting.
Corral here. Oh, I'm sorry. Was somebody-
Commissioner?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
I was thinking maybe a possibility is if we could get this person next week on a call and do like an emergency meeting to just try to just don't vote on that, hear them, and then just vote on it. You know, it'll be a short meeting.
It'd be very short, and that's a possibility too, because we had fixed our bylaws to allow us to. Okay, Executive Director Kirby.
Chair West, even though I didn't help plan this event or submit the funding proposal, I am 1,920% that they will add in the question about MLK if it is asked of them. 19-20%, because that's when they were founded, but you know. More than confident, just to save you all time as to not have another meeting next week. I am more than confident that they will add add what we're asking of them.
Okay, so that leads to two possibilities. That leads to the possibility that we still table this until our next meeting and then approve the sponsoring at our next meeting after the event occurs. And they ask the question and tell us that at our next meeting, and then we approve it. Or it's a different motion, I suppose, a different way of proceeding, but we could, you know, not table and approve it, you know, with the, you know, belief that they will make some edits to their programming to honor Dr. King's legacy. Dr. Melia.
So while I do agree, and I would be approving this if we were voting today, there's still that concern about optics with our community. That, you know, we're going to be approving something that we don't necessarily know how the event will go. And even if it's bipartisan, there's still that optics that people might say you're endorsing one candidate over another.
All right. Okay. All right. So the motion is to table until the next meeting, till we can get some clarity on, you know, what the programming is or was. Is there any further discussion on the motion to table? If not, we will call a roll on that motion.
As a board member, if I might,
Of course.
I was thinking about this, and I think Blaine might have wondered this too, is in terms of, I'm not sure how it works, but I think a different situation if you're talking about providing funding, basically funding that's already happened. I don't know if that's as normal or as possible. I'm not as familiar with it, but that's kind of like a very different situation.
Maybe it's not possible.
And maybe that's the concern. I don't know. But I don't think that's how it, I mean, it's like this procedure is not you to do that.
Well, in this instance, they did submit it before.
They did.
And, you know, we're considering it before. And we're saying we would like to take the opportunity to consider it further after. And maybe that makes a difference. Versus if it was, the event had already occurred and they submitted a request after. Then that would seem to me to be materially different. And
Chairman,
maybe not okay. Commissioner Naya.
did the commission ask for someone to come from the sorority for questions to be asked of them, or they just submitted the funding proposal?
I can speak to that. Executive Director Kirby.
The president of the organization, who is the person who submitted, was planning to attend today, but had a standing meeting with her employer that she couldn't change. So she couldn't be here today. Can I make a comment? Is that allowed?
Executive Director.
I would just like to make the comment that had this same event came across my desk from a different organization, I would have approved it. So it's here in front of you all today because I'm a member of this organization and there's a conflict of interest.
Well, I mean, that's why it's here in front of us. So, and I mean, it's worth really considering because it's kind of a different program than we normally approve. It is got political, that's different than what we normally approve. So, and then, we do have some questions about how it furthers, Dr. King's mission. So we need to, ask and answer those questions, and maybe that this discussion is helpful to you when you go to look at further future proposals and helps you understand what the commissioners think about what should and should not be approved. Commissioner Umi.
Commissioner Carroll suggested that she be able to contact this person and maybe get clarification for furtherance of the MLK mission. Is that something was going to be considered, or?
Well, I mean, if we were to have a, special meeting, like on an urgent basis next week, maybe like a 10, 15-minute meeting to try to get clarification and decide, we could, do you think that meets the definition of, we did fix our bylaws, so I don't have to circulate an agenda to all of you 2 weeks in advance, so we have some flexibility now. Would it meet the definition of an emergency under the Open Meetings Act that we could do that, council?
Well, it's not an emergency, but it doesn't have to be. I mean, emergency meetings are ones that are done without
Any notice at all? Okay,
essentially.
so we can get 3 days.
And those are the ones that you have to notify. Yeah, I mean, you have, whatever's the order, but basically, again, almost sort of minimum is 72 hours.
So we give 72 hours, we give a notice Tuesday next week, we could meet Friday next week and just take care of it.
And so I'm assuming this complies, I don't have the whole resolution, but it sounds like that would comply with that. It's just not like.
I think
it's a
so.
regular meeting, sometimes people call it special. OMA itself doesn't really differentiate, it's basically just you have notice or there's an emergency with special procedures.
All right, so we could.
This wouldn't qualify as a true, I can't say that.
Oh, okay.
But it's fine.
All right, so with the motion to table, I just saying, I would be, if we get clarification, I would be amenable to circulating an email to all of you commissioners, asking if you're available Friday next week. And for, 10, 15 minutes to consider the clarification that comes in, and then we could take care of it. So we could table this today, and I will tell you that if we get clarification, I will absolutely circulate an email and see if we can get a special set up. So the motion is to table till we can get some clarification. I'm also telling you that I will try to set up something quick if we get clarification.
Okay, so I
That's it.
second the motion.
All right, the motion is made and seconded. Is there any further discussion about it? If not, Secretary Carroll to call the roll.
Okay, Commissioner Joseph Dabney.
Yes.
Okay, yes. Commissioner Judge Tammy Lambert. Commissioner Hazel Mella.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Christine Anaya.
Yes.
Okay. Then it's to me. I say yes. Commissioner Sharon Pino. Okay, Commissioner Oscar Robinson.
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Raffini, Commissioner Stone, Commissioner Traub, Vice Chair Constance Williams, Commissioner Anthony Umi,
Yes.
and last but not least, Chair West.
Yes.
Okay, so that's 7 in favor of tabling the motion and then having a special open meeting next week.
Well, if we, to the extent that we get clarification, and to the extent that, you know, folks are available. So I think the special meeting is contingent on some things, but
Yeah,
definitely I understood the motion to table it and then the special meeting being a possibility depending on the circumstances.
okay.
And the special meeting be by phone?
Well,
You contact us?
we'll do it hybrid. We'll do it hybrid.
Okay.
Yeah. So, all right,
Okay,
everybody,
thanks.
that motion carries and that finishes our last action item. So that, and we took care of the next meetings. We already announced that earlier in the meeting. And you should have that in on your electronic calendars. So we're on adjournment now. Commissioner, Umi, you have something to say before we adjourn?
I do. Last night, I did a special for Dr. King on the radio. And it also, was in conjunction with the recent defunding of public radio. And so I did a special with also playing, Bill Moyer's, presentation on, media reform. So if you missed that, you can catch it again on KUNM's website. And I want to give everybody a card. And it's under programs, go to kunm.org under programs. And I've gotten some good feedback from listeners, also from the staff at KUNM, that it was very informative and
Thank you for your good work on that.
thank you.
Yeah.
So just listen, it's a 3-hour show and you have to type in, so last night was been August 7th, 2025, 7 p.m. And, it's the I Am Music Show, which I've, been a part of for over 40 years.
Thank you. Appreciate
Yeah,
that, Job.
It's a 3-hour presentation. King speeches, Moyer's talking, and some good music.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. So with that, commissioners, unless anybody else has anything for the good of the commission. And I'm not hearing anything, we'll
Mr.
stand
Chairman.
adjourned.
Mr.
Oh,
Chairman,
yeah, Commissioner Robinson.
I'd like to give kudos to the executive director. I never met her physically, but her energy and everything that she has brought to the table is well appreciated here in Portales.
Thank you.
Our financial director had a wonderful meeting with our executive director. She was very pleased because she came in and helped us with a situation, which the director pointed out to us. And she, behind the scenes, she's doing a great job right now for me and down here in Portales. And when my CFO come and tell me that she was really impressed. Maybe she is an accountant, even though she says she's not. But I see her for the thing she is. So we appreciate her effort and her professionalism down here. Thank you very much for hiring her.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. Yeah, congratulations, Executive Director. You are making good impressions at every turn and for what it's worth, she certainly make a good impression on me as chair of this commission too. And so I really appreciate those kudos. I say, in front the scenes, behind the scenes. She really is doing good work and working hard. So
Thank you.
thank you for that. Okay, well, everybody, with nothing else to come before the commission, we're adjourned at 1:47 p.m.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow.
Have a good weekend, everybody.